Uh, Somehow it's the summer of 2025, and Donald Trump and Republicans want to revisit whether or not slavery was a virtue. But race is the original sin of the modern Republican Party. And I've often said, I don't know if Trump made people more racist, but he's given people permission to be publicly more racist. And I can't think of anything more telling than raising whether or not slavery is being depicted as how bad it was. I mean, seriously? But look, this is the way they think. This is why we have an army funded larger than the Marines of masked men chasing brown people around the country. It's racism. I don't understand why we don't talk about race and Trumpism more than we do. All of these articles are written about Trumpism. All the great journalists of America being sent to the diners of Ohio. Really? Is it really that complicated? I mean, what's next? We're going to send these great journalists to strip clubs to figure out why men go to strip clubs? I think we know. And Trumpism is a white movement. And the fact that there are some that are not white that voted for him does not disprove that any more than you can smoke 3 packs a day all your life and never get lung cancer. Lung cancer still is tied to smoking. And there's a large pattern here. It's not one thing or this, it's this whole totality of it. Reviving the Confederacy. Now look, unlike Donald Trump, who is, a German heritage Yankee, I'm a 7th generation Mississippian, right? I was named for a relative who was named for Jeb Stuart. But really, we're going to do this? We're going to try to celebrate the lost cause of the South? And, I grew up in that lost cause where it was this, okay, no one really tried to defend like Trump is doing now, trying to say slavery was maybe not that bad. But there was this myth about the Confederacy that grew up. It started in the 20s more than anything. You look at a lot of these Confederate memorials, they were put up in the 20s, not immediately after the war. And this movement said that there was something heroic and this beautiful and tragic about the Confederacy, when really it was a bunch of traitors who went to war to fight for the right to own other human beings. That's what it is. And at least that we have any debate about it, each of the southern states that seceded wanted the world to know this. Go read their articles of secession. Each southern state that seceded listed slavery as a major cause of why they were trying to form the Confederacy. So, really? In America, at this point, after the civil rights movement, after everything, Republicans want to reopen slavery? There's something that's really struck me. If there's one group of people in this country that have a right to be disenchanted with democracy, to have lost faith with what it means to be an American, it would be Black people. They were enslaved, they were tortured, they were murdered, they were raped, to stop them from voting. But they didn't storm the Capitol like these Trumpist guys did when they lost an election. They registered voters, and they kept believing in America. And they kept the faith that Trump and the Trumpist movement lost. And this is why I say that to be for Trump is to be anti-American, or a very different sense of what it means to be in America. It's an America where we're going to debate slavery. It's an America where we think that we're going to have an army of masked men chasing brown people around the country, and that's good. No, this isn't good. The rest of the world looks at this. Most of the country looks at it and thinks that something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. So I don't understand why journalists don't write about this more. Call it out for what it is. Trumpism is a white power movement. And that the Proud Boys. You saw that tape probably that was floating around the internet of some of these ICE agents talking about, how great the Proud Boys were. I mean, that's not what we want this country to be. But it's where Donald Trump is. He has always been a racist. He has a long history of racism. And what just is so painful to me is that the Republican Party has just completely bought into this. And all these people I helped elect, if you're complicit, if you say nothing, you are complicit. And that's what they are. So, then we have a white development that's going up. Great. All this attack on DEI and everything, these are all just ways to talk about race in a way that seems socially acceptable. And this goes back to the Southern strategy, where the Republicans realized that African Americans were not going to vote Republican after the Civil Rights Act passed. So they tried to maximize white vote. And you can go back and you can read the famous Southern Strategy memo that Pat Buchanan wrote for Nixon. And all of this is of a piece. It is an attack against the concept of America as a pluralistic society. And it is driven by this great fear of the reality that America is becoming a minority-majority country. And we are. And all the goddamn Stephen Millers in the world aren't going to change that. And I think what probably drives Stephen Miller crazy is knowing that his children are going to grow up in America that is minority-majority America. And he can't stop that. And that's a good thing. That's something to celebrate. America has been saved by waves of immigrants, and we will be so again. So I just think it's important that we talk truth here, and that we not try to parse this or say, okay, this is just one little isolated tweet or this. This is a pattern. And, I spent a lot of years of my life as a Republican pointing out flaws in the Democratic Party, but it is the only pro-democracy party in America. And it is a party that looks more like America. We talk about how much better Republicans are at messaging. It's kind of true, but it's really sort of bullshit, because if you're a Republican, you are messaging to a very homogeneous group. It's like putting on a concert. It's a lot easier to put it on for people who like one kind of music. Democratic Party like all different kinds of music. That's a great strength, but it's more difficult. So, look, I don't think we can get hung up that this is about a normal sort of policy difference. This is about a fundamental difference of how we see America. And when Donald Trump talks about making America great, again, what he means is making America great where you have assumptions of being a white person and a white male, you have a certain power. And that's been threatened, and it scares him. And Donald Trump's an old man who clearly is thinking about his own mortality, which makes sense. But it's the next generation that's going to have to come to grips with this. And I believe that those in America who still have kept faith with what it means to be a pluralistic America are far, far greater than the Trumpists.